Hey everyone, and welcome to the Americana Station podcast. I am your host, Will Payne Harrison. I'm so happy to be here with you today. I'll be talking to E.G. Vines here in a few minutes, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the month of September that's exciting. A lot of new releases that are coming out. The Americana Music Association had to cancel their festival this year, but Thriving Roots is happening pretty soon, probably right after you listen to this. And there's lots of new music that's coming out. There's some panels for that. I believe there is a link at Americana Music Association's website to purchase the Thriving Roots Pass, where you can get a lot of information on what's different things in the music industry. E.G. Vines this is coming out, I believe, what's today's date? Oh boy, it's September 11th. And I believe E.G. Vines' new single, Them, is coming out the 18th. So make sure that you follow him on your favorite streaming platform, or even better yet, go to his Bandcamp and purchase the single when it comes out. Lots of good new music, including my new single, Clarity. I want to give a shout out to Jason Scott at B-Sides and Badlands. He added me to the Freshly Squeezed playlist, and along with Mickey Guyton and lots of other good stuff on here. I'll be updating my Americana Highways Backroads playlist here shortly over the weekend, so be on the lookout for that to be updated, and as well as my Will's Top 10 playlist. I'll be also updating that this weekend, so we'll have a couple of new updates on playlists over at my Spotify that you can check out. I asked some people on Twitter what their favorite new roots folk Americana releases are for the last month. Ottawa Glow said XOXO, which I think he's talking about the album by the Jayhawks. He hasn't responded back yet, but we'll find out about that. Jay Pata says Arlo McKinney and Coulter Wall is running in close second. Hungry George at G Mine Heart says Shallow Graves from India Ramey is really good. I replied India Ramey and said, let's get you on the podcast, because I would love to have her on here. Make sure you tweet her as well and say, hey, be on the Americana Station podcast with Will. And Jeff Shaw also says Arlo McKinley, I'm sorry. And we're still waiting to hear back some more stuff. But if you want to go over to Twitter and send me a little tweet at Will P. Harrison, tell me what's been your favorite roots folk Americana stuff that's come out in the last month. If you really want to flatter me and say my stuff, I won't be mad about that. But I will tell you what's really good that is coming out, and that's E.G. Vines' new single, Them. I have heard it behind the scenes, and I'm really excited for the world to hear it as well. My friend Heidi Buck played keys, I think, and some vocals on the track, if I'm correct. So that's really cool to see some friends play on E.G.'s new single. Anyway, let's get into talking about E.G. Vines. A Nashville resident since 2009, Vines says he spent most of his 2010s drunk, plump, and stupid, playing with various rock bands before debuting as a solo artist with 2018's EP, Conversation. The full-length follow-up, Family Business, was released in the fall of 2019 and features songs in regular rotation on Nashville's Lightning 100, airplay on XM Radio, placements in Billboard, Rolling Stones, Pop Matters, and NPR, among others. Did you wish away the fabric of your name? Drawing comparisons to Neil Young, Jason Isbell, and 90s alt-rock acts like Pearl Jam and R.E.M., Vines has developed an eclectic roots rock sound, and he aims to approach songwriting from angles less traveled. Would you pay to change the look of your eyes, to pretend that fewer years have passed you by? Without further ado, let's talk to E.G. Vines. Do you long to show the others every prize? Do you want to write your name across the skies? Well, I'm the salesman, and I've got anything you need. So how's quarantine going for you?
Man, it's gone pretty good. All things considered, just been trying to use my time as good as I can, and tons of writing, and actually like digging into old records and stuff like that, and trying to refine my chops and kind of get better on the technical side of things. That when you're busy playing shows, and when the world's going fast, somehow found a way to not do any of that stuff that I, probably should be doing every once in a while.
Right, because when you're go, and you have some downtime, you just want to relax, you want to unwind. But now that there's nothing but downtime, it's easy to accomplish a lot of the things that kind of get put on the back burner.
Yeah, and I just quit my full-time job to go part-time and hit the road more. So I'd planned to do a lot of things, and then I had more time to do more things. So,
wow.
I make sure every day to, I try to make sure to kind of say, hey, I'm going to work pretty much all day, and like set time blocks. And, my wife will go to work, and so I get up at 8, and she doesn't come home till about 7. So I try to keep my day fully occupied and working across that time. So I didn't used to do that, and just eventually you just realize like there's more work I can be putting in, and it directly impacts the final product, no doubt.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I've kind of said this on the podcast before, but my thing is I've always been a mediocre guitar player. And so I've really been trying to improve my chops, to my roommate's chagrin, I'm sure. So I've been trying to learn how to be more of a lead guitar player, and, also writing songs and reading, as much as I can, and ordering a bunch of studio gear to improve my podcast and recording on my own and stuff like that. There's endless things that you can do.
No doubt. I mean, anybody who says, "Oh, I'm bored and don't know what to do," like you don't have the same kind of hobby or interest I do. Because when it comes 7 p.m., I'm like, I didn't get shit done today, and
right.
And I did, if I look back at it. But there's just always pieces I can bite off more. But yeah, what are you doing on guitar? Are you just digging into old records? Are you like watching videos, or what's kind of been your
I was watching videos for a while to learn some techniques, but I feel like a lot of that stuff doesn't really help me. But then I started listening to a lot of old like Haggard records and stuff like that to kind of learn stuff that he's doing. Because I'm really into like the more like country, like a lot of bends, and I'm trying to learn chicken and stuff like that. Because I've always been okay at blues, and I'm getting better at blues, but I want to incorporate like more of those like country licks into what I'm doing. So I've been trying to work that out. How about you?
Yeah, that's tasty stuff. Listen to like old Hank Williams and stuff like that a little bit too.
George Jones. What else have I been? A lot of Haggard lately. A lot. And shoot, I'm trying to think of what else I've been listening to. Christofferson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just kind of a lot of Willie. Always Willie.
Yep.
And Doc Watson. So like kind of all over the place, but still like in that sort of Americana country realm.
Nice.
What about you?
I'm like forever Radiohead. So
I saw your tweet. Yeah.
I just like, I that's the one band that I just like never really get tired of. And if I do it, I don't know how you listen to music, but I tend to just really get infatuated with something. And like there's been several singles come out this year that I've listened to probably 40, 50 times each. Wow. And like, I don't know. It's just those little, if it's got a great melody and it's got some little tasty pieces that I keep coming back to, I'll just dig in. And like, I never really learned a lot of Radiohead records. So I went back and learned all the songs on guitar on the bends, and working back through a few of the other records. So I've done that. And then what I kind of do is, as I'm listening to music, I'll create different Spotify playlists, one for maybe singing, one for guitar. Mm-hmm. and I'll kind of go back and like hit shuffle, and whatever really hits my ear that day, I'll try to, if I say I'm going to sit down and learn a song on guitar, this afternoon or whatever, I'll just kind of hit shuffle until something really piques my interest for the day. And then I just kind of start there.
Are you doing your own production for these singles, or did you take it to the studio to someone else?
Yeah, so I'm self-producing with, so Ben Cunningham and my band has been really involved with these songs. I mean, the whole band has over time, but I call it self-produced. We're actually, the guy we're recording with, Dylan Aldridge, I think he's going to be listed as a co-producer as well, and he's had some production input too. But we've been kind of, the tunes that we're recording and about to start putting out, we've been developing for between 2 or 3 months to a couple of them up to a year. So they've kind of, we've been able to demo them and kind of learn a lot on the front end instead of what I've kind of done in the past. Most of the songs have been just kind of shells, and we've kind of produced them like last minute.
But you have so much more time on your hand now.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. But there's some exceptions, but that's kind of what I learned from doing my EP and my first record, is the songs that I spent more time in pre-pro and working on the sonic pieces of them always came out better.
Right.
And, for some people it works. Like, I mean, there's plenty of records where someone just goes in and records with the band and something incredible happens. But I would say that's more the exception. And, the songs that I was telling you I'll listen 50, 60 times to, it's because of their production quality. It's
right.
There's layers in there, and there's harmonies and different things that my ear keeps coming back to it. Right. And not just the fact that it's a song.
Yeah. And I think that's why I've been digging into like Christopherson and Haggard and stuff like that lately, because they'll do something that like wasn't really done as much at the time. Or even now, where you're just like on, is it Sunday morning coming down?
Yeah.
There's just like a straight like marching beat snare that's kind of buried in there a little bit that you don't really hear. Just like little things like that where you're just like, oh my God, that's awesome, because it keeps moving it forward because he's walking, in the song. And then, like in, I don't remember the song, but I was listening to one of Haggard's older like 70s albums, and they would pan, and this was before this was really a thing, they would pan a guitar solo hard left and hard right, and do harmonies like it was like two fiddles, like that Texas sound. And it was just things like that where you're just like, God, that production, that when they were so limited, how creative they got is something beautiful to me that I love digging into too, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, our generation tends to think, oh, well, I've got the tool for that. Because that's the way we've grown up, and that's the way, the way it is. We've got so many things that were made so easy for us to do, but no matter what, the song's still got to come back to, is there a hook there? Is there a special lyric? Like, it could be the drum sound. Like, there's got to be something special that makes a song special, because it doesn't matter how much you pretty it up. It's still got to have that thing, whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely. I saw I'm looking at your about section on egvines.com. And,
oh man, is it updated? I wonder. We've been, we're about to start sending out some different press kind of things. So
well, you tell me. It says that you've been drawing comparisons to Neil Young, Jason Isbell, Pearl Jam, and REM. And I thought that REM was interesting because the first thing I thought of when I heard your new single that's coming out that hasn't been posted yet, Them, it reminded me a lot of It's the End of the World as We Know It.
Awesome. Yeah, you're out of 5 or 6 people I've had listen to it. I think you're the third person that's referenced REM, and one of the guys specifically said that song. So, I mean, it makes sense.
Or We Didn't Start the Fire.
Yeah. I was born in the mid 80s. So when I was coming into my understanding of music and like getting my own music was mid 90s. So REM's Monster was one of my first records. And like, it's funny, like that period, 94 to maybe 96 or 7, like it's so ingrained in my sound, even when I don't think, I don't think there's a 90s sound. I always get this, there's like a 90s thing, like a grunge or an alt thing. And it makes sense because that 4 or 5 years when I'm, a young kid picking up CDs from the Columbia House Exchange program, like
I had that.
It sticks with you,
That's funny. My first one was Green Day Dookie from Columbia House.
That was one of my first like 5. It was the Weezer Blue album, Green Day Dookie, Monster, and I was looking
the Batman for was it?
Oh,
Forever?
Hell yeah!
The one with Kiss by a Rose.
Oh, what a soundtrack!
Yeah.
And then a couple years later, did you ever listen to the Godzilla soundtrack from like '97?
Of course, yeah.
There's this song from Jamiroquai on there that like it's insane. Like, go back and listen to that if you can find that soundtrack. It's Spotify only has like 5 of the songs, but they're all bangers. I would check it out.
Yeah, I remember they did a sample from Led Zeppelin with Puff Daddy rapping over it.
Oh, yeah. It was Cashmere, but I can't remember the
Cashmere. Yeah,
I can't remember the Puff song, and that was when
I don't either.
Puffy.
The da 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 da.
Oh yeah,
da-da-da. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I grew up in the '90s as well. I was born, I guess, early '80s. I wouldn't say mid '80s, but so I was coming up '97. I was like in 7th grade. So like a lot of those. Yeah, you mentioned.
Yeah, we're right around the same age then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Radiohead.
Computer.
Okay, Computer. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just like mind blowing at the time. Foo Fighters and Green Day and all those like solid '90s rock bands. But I wouldn't say grunge. I didn't hear grunge in your sound, but the production is not in that vein, I don't think, but I definitely could hear some like, old school rock flair in there for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I played in cover bands through college, early, high school, early mid 2000s and college. And, so I had a lot of those 3 and 4 hour bar sets where we'd, in school at Alabama, we'd play Allman Brothers and Skynyrd. And, so there's a lot, what we did, we mixed that classic rock stuff in the '90s stuff. So we would, one of the guys could rap. So we were doing like Rage Against the Machine and, it was just a fun like mix. So that's probably also part of my influence is like, I learned to play to those crowds of just assaulted drunk people. And, right. You have to, sometimes you've probably played those sets, but you kind of have to get drunk with them and it just becomes this huge party. And like, so that's probably in there too.
Yeah, for sure. So what influenced you to become a songwriter? To like, it seems like from just the about section on your website that you started off as like a rock and roller, like you just mentioned, and then kind of like decided I want to do my own solo thing. Like what made you decide you wanted to go into the realm of songwriting?
I think that was always kind of my thing that I was best at, but I think I always was kind of in denial for some reason. I don't know, growing up, I always kind of wanted to be like a lead guitar player, but the things that I would always get the most compliments and like, wow, that's really good or whatever, even before it was probably very good, was the lyrical component and melodies. And people were always complimenting me on that. And like when I wasn't very developed, saying, well, would you be willing to, and even now, like you'd be willing to pitch these songs to other people. And so I figured out that I had a talent for lyrics. And then I think when those Isbell records came out, when he came out with Southeastern and Something More Than Free, I just really started digging back into singer-songwriters. And between those 2 records, obviously there's just tons of amazing tracks. And then, I got back into Bob Dylan and really back hard into Neil Young. And it just, I don't know, man, it just lit a spark for me around 2015, 16. And I was just like, I think this is what I'm going to do, moving forward.
How hard is it though to play? Because it seems just from what I've heard of your music that it kind of requires a band to really get the full idea across. How hard is it to play solo? And do you ever play solo?
Yeah, I actually, it was something I was a little nervous to do, but I did it. I went down to Texas. I went up to the Northeast, and I've done some others in the Southeast. But so I've done some one man shows where I've just kind of done the bring some percussion with your foot, and maybe even do some loops and do some leads. And I like it, and I think I have enough of both. I have enough of like, this is more of an Americana sounding, just lyrically focused song, and this is more of a, maybe a rocker or whatever. I find it's a pretty cool thing to do, and it challenges me, and it did challenge me to, it's a hard thing to do, to put on a show, like you said, with just yourself, when maybe they're on the record, maybe they sound different and I have to like switch them up or do something a little different to make them pop in certain places.
Do you find that it makes you a better performer with a band after you've had to strip it down to just solo and be a good, like a more focused performer?
I think so, because sometimes I would rely on the band and go, oh, that's his section or whatever. And when you look at it from the angle of, wow, it's just me having to entertain these people for the entire time, and I'm playing only my own material. You have to think about things in a different. I would say it probably made me better when I actually played with the band.
Yeah, I was kind of leading you into that because I found that for myself. I was wondering if it was the same for you. That up until I became a solo songwriter in 2014 or whatever, I always leaned heavily on bands and the idea of like that live performance with the full band being entertaining, and you realize how much you have to like change your thought process as a solo artist to continually be entertaining throughout the set as much as possible. And for me, that when I got to play with a full band again, I think that it made me an even better entertainer because I already had to up it from being solo. I was just wondering if it was similar for you.
Yeah, and I haven't done much full band since earlier this year, January, February was when I did most of my solo touring stuff. So after those 11, 12 dates, whatever it was, I think I only had like one band performance before everything shut down, and I haven't played again. So we've been getting together though with the band. The band and my wife have been kind of my quarantine buddies. So we've been staying pretty tight, and we got in the studio. So I think it's been good for all of our sanity to be able to get together and make some noise, even if it's not for anybody in front of a crowd.
Right. Have you been doing anything outside of songwriting and recording? Any other hobbies that you've been picking up?
No, I got a part-time gig, so I'm working about 20 hours a week doing that. And then really been doing this. Well, I say that. I do try to bike, and I probably bike almost every day now. I live right here by Shelby Bottoms, so I go down there and hit the Greenway. So I've become a biker, I guess.
One of those guys.
Right. What about you?
No, I've been doing a lot more of these podcasts lately, which is good for my sanity, and I think other people's sanity too. And I've been diving into writing more songs and getting into production of the demos for my next album. Like I have to have a project to look forward to,
Yeah,
So,
these podcasts have been awesome. I don't remember where I found that. I think I saw it on like Mercy Bell's page or something.
Oh yeah. Me and Mercy did one. God, it feels like forever ago now.
Might have been the end of last year, because I listened to a couple back to back, and I think they were towards the end of last year. I listened to hers, and you had one with Anna Lee, who I'm friends with as well. So
yeah, I heard you were on her local brew show.
Yeah. Anna Lee's awesome. So she's
one of the best.
She's a supporter for sure.
Yeah, she really is.
Good person to have on your side. And I love, music people, we can understand this, but it's nice to have those people you can just, hey, have you heard this new record?
Yes.
They send me things, and I can tell how fired up she is. Like, check this single out. I'm like, oh my God.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. And her stories are just incredible. The things that she's witnessed in her career.
Oh yeah, all the radio time in LA and just all the path to here, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So you are originally from Alabama, you said?
I grew up in Arkansas, and then
Arkansas.
I went to school in Alabama. So, and then I moved up here in 2009. So I've been here for almost, it'll be 11 years this fall, which doesn't doesn't sound right coming out of my mouth, but it has been.
Have you
What
been
about
in?
you? Are you have a Louisiana connection? Did I see that?
Yeah, yeah. I'm originally from a small town in the middle of nowhere called Tioga, Louisiana, but I moved to Lafayette after high school and lived there until I moved here. So it's it's very rich in the Cajun culture. You know, Jimmy C. Newman is from the area, if you're familiar with him, and he was on the Grand Ole Opry, and Doug Kershaw, and a lot of really talented people from down there. But it's weird being on the coast, the Gulf Coast, because you either go to New Orleans or you go to like Houston and Austin.
Yep.
There's not a lot in between, and so I just made the decision that if I wanted to further my music career, that I needed to move somewhere that had more major music cities near it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I always had a few buddies in New Orleans, and the guy who plays drums with me now is actually from Homa. And I
Okay.
got another couple buddies from down there. So that New Orleans, Homa area, I'm pretty familiar with. And been to Baton Rouge a few times, but outside of that, that's about it, I guess.
Yeah, New Orleans is about to get hit by not one,
Oh
but
my
two.
God, I heard.
Yeah, two hurricanes.
Man, it's the last place that needs that.
Right. Yeah. As if we don't have enough going on right now. Fires in California and two hurricanes and a hurricane in the White House and just
This year is just, it's so much for everybody. I mean, I feel very lucky to not be in trouble financially and to, knock on wood, we've been healthy and happy. So I have no complaints, but my God, every day is just something
right.
new. And it just won't stop. And, some things will let up. Like I'm not the type that thinks no matter what happens in November that the world's going to be just, instantly great again. But I think we can all look forward and be like, okay, let's get past the election. And it's just so chaotic right now.
Right. Which kind of segues into your song, Them, which is basically about, you could probably explain it better, but it seems like it from the few times I've listened to it, that it's kind of about being polarized by these two political parties. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I guess that song could mean something different to me on a different day, but the lyrics, the Democrat, Republican are the first two lyrics. So, I mean, it's going to instantly bring you there. And, I find that like I follow a lot of people and I have a lot of friends that are hardcore Democrat, hardcore Republican, kind of across the entire spectrum. And the thing that's always crazy to me is how people are so passionately supporting a certain platform, even if they don't understand or agree with something. Their walls are up where we are right now in our culture, and I just find it crazy that a lot of times people can't even talk to other people because, oh, that guy supports this or this guy does this, and we've kind of gotten to that point in our culture, and honestly, it just pisses me off. And I think I was probably pissed off that day when I wrote the song, and it's kind of a punk rocker, and I think that's probably what you'll hear.
Yeah. It is interesting how I find myself sometimes, even when I'm trying to voice my opinion, being cut off because the person assumes
right
your stance before you can even. So once that has happened and they've put up a wall in their mind, there's no point in even, you can't win over somebody that already has decided that you're wrong and decided your stance.
Yeah, and it's so bad with the echo chambers that we have now with Twitter and whatever else, where we can follow whoever we want, and you're going to be fed more of the things you like, and people get in that echo chamber, and that's all they hear or see. whether it's knowingly or unknowingly. And next thing you know, people legitimately think their opinion is the right opinion, and only their opinion is the right opinion on almost everything. And it's just, like I said, that's pretty crazy. And you kind of have to, I mean, for me, I have to kind of try to look at other angles of things before I, go too far into something. And like, I want to retweet something, but then I go, hang on, let me research this first. Because I might not have all the facts.
Right. It's hard for me to look on social media for sure. Because
I mean, I've never been quite as like every morning I'm like, what am I, what are you about to walk into? Like what is happening out there? Who's called me out for something,
right.
What's the new thing of the day that we're going to just be thinking about all day? It's, I don't know. The older I get, the more I go, oh, well, this, like I said, nowadays, the other day, I'm like, oh, it just sounds so old, but, I don't know, times change and you got to be adaptable. That's for sure. Like, I don't think technology is the great problem. I think honestly, we're the great problem. Like if we don't recognize the problem within ourselves, technology is just a different way that, these problems start presenting themselves. So it's not inherent in the technology, I don't think.
Right. Yeah. Which, circling back around, if you listen to OK Computer, the whole album is kind of about this whole, like, it's almost Orwellian type societal downfall via technology, and he was on the fucking nose about it.
Yeah, it's about corporate America and how people, I just envision this 70-year-old that's retiring who's a executive vice president and blah, 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 and looks back and said, what the hell did I just do in this race for 40 years? And it's kind of that thing because we get so caught up in these silly having things or chasing, keeping up with the Joneses and all these things that I know is going to continually be a common theme in my music. But I just, yes, I can understand the importance of those things and I understand security, but it tends to be when we tend to hurt each other, is chasing those things and, trying to get the shiny thing instead of trying to take care of the person beside you. And that's what that record's talking about. Right.
Right. And so you have another single coming after them. Is that correct?
Yeah. So what we did, we cut 4 tunes, and I think I'm going to release one called Am I Dreaming second. So I don't know if you listened to The Salesman off the last record.
I did.
I think it has a similar kind of theme to that. And I might call the president a funny word in it. I don't know. But I think I'm going to do that one next. And then I think I'm going to do, we have a song called King of the Rat Race. And then I have another song called Take Your Medicine. So my thought, I have a full record. I have a 10-song record that I want to cut, but I don't really want to package the whole record until I know I can get on the road again.
Right.
So my thought, my strategy, I guess, is just going to be, let's continue to release material. There's going to be these singles. We'll do some music videos for a couple of them. If not a music video, we'll have a lyric video. We might even do a cover series. So I think my biggest goal, and maybe one of the things that I haven't done as well in the past, is just I need to have a steady drip of new material. And so, at least every 6 to 8 weeks, we'll have a new song and some videos, and just keep it moving until we can play shows again.
Yeah. How do you feel about what the CEO of Spotify said about in regards to content and art has to continually come out if you plan on making a living at it? Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I have. And that was another one of those. It's like, do I want to piss off these, writers and these other people by like making comments? Right. Because I take a little bit of a different angle than a lot of them did. A a lot of
well,
artists.
You don't have to answer that.
No, it's cool. It's cool. But a lot of artists and writers, I think, were looking at what he said and, F you, I don't have to do this. And that's fine. You don't. But the way I look at it, what he was saying is because these platforms are here, like, here's the way you take advantage of our platform. Like, I didn't view it as him saying albums are dead or, anything along those lines. I just view it as, look, with the way things are today, here's how you can take advantage of it and play it to your best advantage. And I kind of agree with that. And, does it suck? Sure. But it's what we're dealing with today.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to deal with because, if you're in the position of like Garth Brooks or Taylor Swift, you can say no and start your own streaming service or only be on Amazon or whatever they want to do, keep their stuff only in record stores. But when you're, Will Payne Harrison and E.G. Vines, you don't really have the option because you don't really have the distribution or the clout in the industry to withhold your stuff. So it's a weird position because I find myself having to cut corners on like, hiring a producer and just doing it myself and like hiring a bass player because I play bass, like I find myself having to cut corners to keep cost low in order to keep volume high. But I also realize that my fan base is very limited. And the only way to continue to grow it is because it's become a sort of fast food medium in the streaming industry is to continue to release new music. And if it takes off, then the old music will eventually come around to.
People will find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we got hit like with a double whammy because now we can't, tour. And that was kind of the thing. That's, I don't know about you, but that's where I would sell the merch and that's where I would sell my records. And
right.
I get random orders on my website, but most of the time it's from someone I know. Like the random people I sell to was 80 to 90% of the time at a show.
Yeah.
There's some stuff around the album release, but so that sucks. But and the other thing I'm reading this, I just finished this book. It's like Modern Music Management, I think. By this guy, Ari, I can't remember his last name. But anyway, it's a guy that's been, supporting himself for 15 years with a music career. And one of the things he said in the book was, don't try to force your fans to support you in a way they don't want to. If somebody doesn't want to buy the vinyl, don't make them buy the vinyl. But they might be interested in doing tipping you at a live stream, or they may be interesting in doing, if you're going to do the vinyl thing and package it up for like a Kickstarter kind of thing where they might get a signed t-shirt or like think about other behind the scenes things maybe to give them access to, because it's not that they don't want to buy your product. They just might not have a need for vinyl or, maybe they don't want a certain kind of t-shirt or whatever, but if they're there to support you, they want to find a way to do it. We just have to be more creative now with finding other revenue streams, as opposed to the old days of, hey, we're going to sell all these records. It's just a different world.
Yeah. And I've noticed that sometimes people will come and just tip you like $20 and you're like, please take a CD.
Do you want a shirt?
Yeah. And they're like, no, I don't. And you're like, no, please take a CD. I have so many of them. But like sometimes they just want to give you money and they don't have a CD player. They don't have a record player. They only listen to you on Amazon or whatever, however they listen. And yeah, being inventive is important, I think, for sure.
Yeah. And it's, we talked about Radiohead and that's my favorite band. And if you look at, I think it was
In Rainbows,
how they did the, just give whatever you want. And I think the numbers actually came out, instead of the $12 or whatever, I think they ended up getting an average of like 17 or 18 because a lot of people were like, I love you, Radiohead. Here's my $200, whatever it was. And I don't know that was their intent, but they were being creative at the time and just finding a new way to go to the fans and say, look, those of you who can't afford this or, need to buy your groceries this month and like want our record, like you can still get it.
Right. And I think
that bought some goodwill.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because they didn't have any overhead. So like if you could only afford $1 or you couldn't afford anything and you were going to download it illegally anyway, they were just like eliminating the gatekeepers and trusting that you would be, you would give what you felt. That one person would take up the slack where another might take it for free or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen some other artists do that where they'll say, hey, this vinyl is whatever you want to pay for it. And then just say like suggested price is X.
Right. But I mean, in 2020, what was it? Like 09, 08, whatever it was unheard of. No one did that. That was very like new and unheard of.
And then U2 put it on everyone's phone and pissed some people off. But that's
yeah.
I remember looking at my phone. I was like, was I like drunk last weekend or something and like bought this U2 record? And people were like, no, dude, everyone just got it. And I was like, what if I don't want it?
You just delete it. It's U2.
It was still a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I have a love-hate with them. Like I went back and really liked a bunch of their 80s and 90s stuff, but I don't know. It was like Beautiful Day or something. I remember I was like middle or high school and I don't know. At that point I was so pissed at all these huge, and it's the same way today. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand that once you've like made it, you've made it. Like, just don't fuck it up.
Right.
Like, don't say something really stupid or do something really dumb. And like, once you're made, you're made. And that was the first, and it was around the time OK Computer was coming out, I guess, maybe a little after. But I just remember being like, why does MTV just like shove these old bands in our face when there's these other new bands out here doing their thing?
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I mean, that definitely still happens. And I mean, it makes sense because these labels and management firms, they have their cash cows. And it takes a lot more effort to break someone like me or you than it does, just to pitch this record from something that's already made. It's easy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why should I care about this band I've never heard of? It's, you got to give me a reason to care. And a lot of that is, PR and marketing and getting your face out there a lot, which costs a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing I've spent a little time on is trying to like, I used to never care what I look like in any of that. But I mean, it's part of it. It's figuring out your look, your aesthetic, digging in and drilling into your story. Like, your bio's got to be compelling. The way you pitch yourself to certain people has to be compelling because there's just so much out there now in this era when everyone can make their own record at home. I mean, these people are just, the gatekeepers are just inundated.
Right.
And either the song just has to pop on first listen. I mean, it really has to be a combination of it all because, I find people that have great songs, but maybe they don't have a look or, don't tell much of a story. And like, they might get lost behind someone that has an intriguing story. So it's kind of like this whole package, and I've been trying to use some of my brain waves to think on that before I start releasing music.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I also have found that the most positive response I've got was when I was the most like authentic too. So like, sometimes I've, tried, a marketing trick, gone down a path that like maybe wasn't as authentic, but was popular at the time or something like that. And people see right through it. So you just got to be who you are and be authentic, but also be interesting, which is a tight line to walk.
Yeah. And, well, for me, I find it's because I think the music I've gotten that feedback, at least on the last record. People say, oh, I can really feel what you're saying. So that piece of it is always encouraging when I hear that from other people. But yeah, like I said, between the polish on the production and like just look and drilling into, you got to drill into what is most unique about you. And I think that's a cool thing about being an artist is like, I'm constantly trying to work on myself. So I think music makes me a much better version of myself because I can't write lyrics that are honest if I'm not honest with myself. And the songs, like you said, that connect are the ones that are the most brutal and most honest. So I think that's a cool thing about, being an artist is, we expose ourselves and other things through our songs. But, I think if you do it the right way, you're really working on yourself and making yourself a better person, better human being.
Yeah, for sure. And, like I've heard songs about like, someone's drug addiction that just like destroyed me, but it wasn't true for me. So I can't write a song about a drug addiction because I've never had one, but I can write songs about, hurt and pain in different ways that are just as authentic. They just may not have to do with drugs or whatever someone else went through. And I think that was the thing that I did for a long time was go, I really admire this songwriter and the way they write. I want to write a song like this, instead of going like, oh, it's the authenticity of this writer that I really admire. At first you just see them for the story they told rather than the authenticity behind it, which is a little bit more subtle.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's, I think the hardest part, and I think that I always keep trying to get better at is, you can start from one specific boiled in spot and then making it universal, in a way that doesn't make it too universal, to make it specific, but also make it, my favorite songs I've ever written of my own and my songs that I just love by other people. Like, I feel like a lot of you can hear different things in the song. Like Chris Christopherson or somebody like that, like just laced with so many different like subplots, and like depending on your frame of reference and your frame of mind, you can see something totally different than what he was probably seeing when he wrote it. So having that scalability and like this universal thing where everyone understands it, but they might not understand it like all the way.
But they put themselves in the story. Yeah,
exactly. Like being able to do that. I mean, I think that's why someone like him or, somebody like Jason Isbell has just been so successful in getting a song that like everyone can listen to it once and just go, damn, because they get it and it means something to them, even if, people that didn't grow up in the South and things like Speed Trap Town, like they can still get it because they can identify with the empathy there, and they can identify with those life settings that may not be the exact time and place of the story he's telling, but they're just so relatable.
Right. Yeah. So moving forward, when does Them come out? How can people hear your music and all that stuff?
Yeah, we're looking at what is today? I was trying to figure out what month it is. This year's just been crazy.
I think it's March or April, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. No, it's August.
I do remember that everything shut down on like March 14th. I think that was.
Yeah.
I think that was the day where I kind of like just got this anxiety. I sat down and said, "Oh my God, what is about to happen?" We're going to put it out September 18th. If you're on a streaming platform, just follow EG Vines and it'll pop up. They can go to egvines.com and get on the mailing list. That's probably the best way to stay with it moving ahead. But we're looking at 9/18 on that one on all the streaming.
Awesome. Here is EG Vines with a previously unreleased song.
This is a song from the future. It's called King of the Rat Race. I'm the king of the rat race, but I am just a rat, you say. I'm the king of the rat race, but I am still a king to you. Cause I hold you down, you build me up, keep speaking out my name. And these walls I built between us, you keep climbing every day. I don't know just what I'm doing, but I'm moving you like a puppet on a string.
'cause I'm the king of the rat race. But I am just a rat, you say. I'm the king of the rat race, but I am still the king of you. And you know I was once like you, sitting down there with the rest, plotting out my execution, revolution in my chest. So I know just what you're after, and it's everything that I hold today. 'Cause I'm the king of the rat race. I'm the king of the rat race. Every day is just a number, counting closer to the grave. I won't drop the crown on my head, I'm not giving it away. 'Cause I fought for all that I am, the blood and sweat and tears, and all the love that I let go of, somewhere dying all these years. Yeah, I know just what you're after, and it's everything that I hold today. Still, I'll never tell you it ain't worth the pain. 'Cause I'm the king of the rat race, but I am just a rat, you say. I'm the king of the rat race, but I am still the king of you.
Thanks so much, E.G. Vines, for being on Americana Station. Best of luck on your new single, Them, which comes out September 18th. Next up on the podcast, we have Great Peacock. They've been tearing it up the charts. They've been in the top 100 on the AMA charts. I think they might have even cracked the top 50 now. I'm really excited to talk to them and find out more information about their album and everything. So that's exciting. We have some more people that I'm working out some scheduling with. So there's a few more coming down the pipeline. Make sure you follow, you rate, you review. All those things help us out so much. Thank you to everyone who has rated and reviewed thus far. It really means the world to me. It only takes a few minutes. It helps me so much more than the time it takes for you to just fill it out. Might take you less than a minute, honestly. Just go ahead and put World's Best Podcast. That's all you got to do. Click send. Now more people can see the podcast because of you. So if you would take that time to do that, thank you. That would mean the world to me. I'm at Americana Station, no A, on Twitter, and at Will P. Harrison is my personal Twitter. I'm also on Instagram at Will Payne Harrison, and Facebook.com/The Will Payne Harrison. So go follow on those. Make sure you follow on Spotify, Apple Music, all those different things. Follow E.G. Vines as his new single, Them, comes out September 18th. And make sure you follow along with Great Peacock, who is going to be the next guest on the podcast. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. I'm Will Payne Harrison.